This is the first All God's People episode for 2024. I hope your new year is off to a wonderful start. Hi, I'm Connie Vandeman Jeffrey, and this is All God's People. This 289th episode kicks off our 8th season. Since May of 2017, we've shared more than 850 stories from across our vast Pacific Union territory. From 5 states and 7 conferences with nearly 218,000 members in 800 congregations, we've shared the good news, the hopeful news of our members, our pastors and leaders, our teachers and students, and our hospitals, clinics, and care centers. For me personally, I've found inspiration and hope in sharing these stories with you. Many of these stories can be found in the Recorder, the flagship publication since the Pacific Union was organized in 1901. The January Recorder is probably already in your homes, and as always, it's available online. This is the second year that a Spanish translation of the monthly Recorder is available online. This is in addition to the quarterly Spanish Recorder mailed directly to Spanish churches across the Union, which is also available online. Under the leadership of Alberto Valenzuela, Recorder Editor, the ministry and impact of the Recorder is growing. Be sure to read Elder Bradford Newton's editorial, Maranatha, in the January Recorder, and all the news and inspiring stories from around the Pacific Union. We have some sad news to share. Heather Dawn Small, General Conference Women's Ministries Director, died on January 2 from cancer. She was 66 years old. Over several decades, Small served the Adventist Church in varying capacities. She served in Trinidad and Tobago as assistant to the president of the University of the Southern Caribbean and as Children's Ministries and later Women's Ministries Director of the Caribbean Union Conference. She became General Conference Associate Director of Women's Ministries in 2001 and was elected Director in 2005. For 18 years, she was the top voice of Seventh-day Adventist women around the world. During her tenure, Heather Dawn Small developed and trained a generation of women committed to serving God and people and to the mission of the church. She is survived by her husband Joseph Small, an Adventist pastor, and her children Delon and Gerard. Memorial service details are pending. Another dear friend has passed to his rest. Phillip Draper, retired communication director of the Arizona Conference, died on January 1 at his home in Tennessee. He was 78 years old. Phil spent many years at Voice of Prophecy when it was located in Southern California as development director, keyboard artist, and as an accompanist for Delker. From 2003 to his retirement in 2021, Phil worked as communication director of Arizona Conference. On his last Friday night, Phil was surrounded by his family and close friends, including Ed Keyes, Arizona Conference president, members of his family, and Eric Vandenberg, Hawaii Conference president, and members of his family. Elder Keyes recalled that they sang several songs around his bedside, including his requests, "Side by Side We Stand," and "When We All Get to Heaven." "We prayed and read scripture," Elder Keyes said, and Phil fell into a deep, restful sleep until he passed away 2 days later. We will never forget Phil and what he contributed to the Arizona Conference. He was such a blessing to so many of us. I will remember Phil as one of the kindest, most forgiving people I ever met, and I'll miss singing and making music with him. Heaven will be a family reunion like no other. Phil is survived by his wife Joey and daughter Brianna, his niece Karen and her husband, and a legion of friends. Each year on the third Monday of January, we observe Martin Luther King Jr. Day and reflect on the fact that each of us must work for social justice and racial equality. Monday, January 15, is the MLK Day federal holiday. Dr. King was a great preacher, and in his sermons, he often spoke of being a good neighbor. In this passage, he reminds us that who is my neighbor is the question that Jesus asks of each of us. Who is my neighbor? I do not know his name, says Jesus. He is anyone to whom you prove to be neighborly. He is anyone lying in need on life's roadside. He is neither a Jew nor a Gentile. He is neither a Russian nor an American. He is neither black nor white. He is a certain man, any man lying needy on one of the numerous Jericho roads of life. So Jesus ends up defining a neighbor not in a theological definition, but in a life situation. May these words and the life and witness of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inspire us to be more neighborly, more like Jesus in our lives each day. For All God's People, I'm Connie Jeffrey.